What matters most? Business success and money, or being happy at work? The writer and journalist Charles Duhigg has a really interesting article in the New York Times. So he's an MBA graduate from Harvard, no less, and he recently went to his 15-year graduation ceremony, and met a lot of his classmates from that year. And he describes a lot of these people as being miserable at work. I'm going to quote some of his article because I think this is really interesting. He says, one person had risen to a senior role inside a really prestigious company before being savagely pushed out by corporate politics. Another had learned in the maternity ward that her firm was being stolen by a conniving partner. A lot of his classmates complain about jobs that were unfulfilling, tedious, or just plain bad. One classmate is an investor. He has to invest $5 million a day, which doesn't sound terrible until he explained that if you put in only $4 million into work on one day, he had to do $6 million the next. And his coworkers are constantly undermining one another in search of the next promotion. He earned about $1.2 million a year, hated his job. He said, I feel like I'm wasting my life. When I die, is anyone going to care that I earned an extra percentage point in return? My work feels totally meaningless. He also said, if you spend 12 hours a day doing work you hate, at some point, it doesn't matter what your paycheck says. And this is really interesting, right? Because these are Harvard MBA graduates, right? The masters of the universe. These should be the people on top of the world with all of the success, all of the money, and these people should be really happy if we follow the traditional thinking. And yet, a lot of them apparently are not. So why is that? And Charles Duhigg points to one of the reasons, certainly, is that their work seems meaningless to them. And he highlights the work of Amy Resniewski, professor from Yale Business School, who's found the importance in her research, found the importance of feeling that the work you do is meaningful and valuable and in some way makes the world better. But there's an additional point here, which is that whole model of thinking is wrong, right? So many people subscribe to this idea that, I'll get a job, I'll get a good career, I'll work really hard, put in the hours, I'll become successful, and that success will make me happy. But I think that this article clearly shows that is no guarantee. You can make $1 million a year and still absolutely hate your job and be miserable at work for 12 hours a day, right? So I think what we need to realize is that this model is fundamentally flawed. And the truth is, in fact, the exact opposite. It turns out that people who are happy at work, on average, become more successful. There's a ton of research on that. That's showing that when you are happy at work, we are more creative, we are more productive, we work better with others, we're more likely to get help and assistance from other people when we need it. So being happy at work can make you more successful. And I think the most fascinating study on this actually comes from Harvard. It's the Grant study, the longest running longitudinal study in the world. It's been running for 75 years and actually followed a group of Harvard graduates from 75 years ago. And that study clearly showed that happiness predicts success more than success predicts happiness. So the traditional career advice, that is, get a Harvard MBA degree, that'll make you $1 million, and $1 million in career success will make you happy. That turns out to be wrong. And I think much, much better and much more useful career advice is to say, find a job you enjoy, doing something you love that is meaningful and actually makes the world better in some way. That will make you happy, and happiness is more likely to make you successful. And even if for some reason you don't end up with $1 million in your bank account or $1 million paycheck, at least you're happy. And that is worth much, much more.